sale. I simply can't wait any longer to check out the MiSaMo trailers that have dropped, right? I just decided to wait until all three of them dropped, like for the subunit teasers when those came out, and there's also the snippets to check out. So, oh man, let's see. Let's see if I even survive these trailers. It was hard to, like, you can't avoid some spoilers, right? Like Mina's back, that was all over Twitter as soon as it dropped. So I have seen that, but I guess I'm probably gonna go in reverse order. I'm just going like from the most recent posted and going backwards, I guess here. But this is the Momo teaser. Oh, oh, so they're okay. Yeah, 20 seconds. Do not touch. Okay, so that's the name of the track and the video. Interesting, man. Interesting. It's so there's only a suggestion of sound. This very aquatic sound, the water. She's obviously doing this sort of. There's, I believe this is a reference specifically to some type of character, the subject of some piece of art, because the album is called Masterpiece, right? And so I think what I've been seeing is that there's like a conceptual through line that does relate to um, perhaps a lot of classical art. Um, oh my, because this looks so familiar, right? Uh, I can't remember though. Mm. It actually reminds me of the Adventures of Baron Munchausen or whatever I think it was like one of Uma Thurman's very earliest roles, where she plays that like this mermaid type figure that emerges from a clam, so there's obviously this aquatic art reference that's going on here, but it's quite striking. I love the to see the lighting, right? Like it's she's more backlit than she is, key or the fill lighting here. And then as we approach, right there it starts to rise. Right now we get fill. Now we get key lighting, and oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, there. What, like these the colors have that what do you call that? It's oh, there's a specific word for it. Like this shell coloring. Even though like it's pink, right? But look at her necklace. It has that similar sort of chromatic type of coloration to it, right? Where you get the blues and the lighter colors and everything in there. The main color is pink, though, right? And it's very interesting, pearl earrings, right? Because the pearl in the clam or the oyster, you know what I mean? The like that's she's this jewel. She's this you know and that's coloration even comes from the way that those things are formed, right? The sort of calcium deposits that build up over time. It just, I'm just thinking about this sort of subjects here. Okay, Sana, do not touch. Again with the lighting effects. Oh, sound. Okay. Piano. Wait. Organ. Okay, piano, organ, staccato, strings, and horns. Deep compression, lots of reverb, drenched in reverb. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, very interesting. Totally different setting, totally different space. The same lighting effect. My goodness. Incredible shots. Like, uh, this sort of gothic interior type of architecture that's going on. Um, yeah, there's a lot of really nice art references. I'm trying to think because I know the styling to certain things. You know, Momo's pearl earrings, these earrings right here, the sort of the veil. Again, this might be some sort of reference to a specific art, a piece of art or a painting, because it's gonna have meaning. Like it's all gonna have a lot of meaning. Man, it's so it's just it's so like there's a lot there. I know there's a lot there visually and everything, but it's so quick, right? Like it's just barely anything. Like oh man, just barely anything. Just a hint of a taste, but very interesting. There's definitely these sort of like classical art visual motives, right? That are going on. Um, Even the way that the shots, you know, for one thing that was common was the lighting, but also there was this like profile in the beginning, and then like they turn right into it, and I know, oh man, like it's reminding me of art classes. It's reminding me of like a lot of these type of video classes and stuff that I took, because you watch you know, things like that. You talk about art, and you reference a certain things historically that have come along through the different artistic periods, and that also might be a through line here in some of the visuals that we're getting here. Um, like she's very statuesque, right? The posture, even this pose, you know what I mean? A lot of this is, let's see, I guess like the Renaissance period. That was when the emphasis of the subject of art kind of returned to the human form. You know, everything was to sort of express or highlight things that had to do with the sort of corporeal form, right? Um, yeah, and this a very like it's all very classic. The poses, the compositions, everything is it's so so there's this definitely a through line of the concept of these artistic concepts, right? Oh, interesting. Oh, wait. The sound, really interesting, man. Okay, let's see, because there are some of these, you know. Again, now this, I went backwards, right? But if I'm thinking in terms of art, in other words, there is a lot of this classicism in sanas, right? And there's a lot of basically romanticism in momos, and everything about this is, what is it? Okay, it says masterpiece at the bottom. Um, this is the medieval period. So because you had these different artistic periods in history. First, well, you have like the Ars Antigua, which is like Greek and Roman art and music and everything, and then um, or like even Egyptian stuff right before that, and then there's like a period of war. There's the sacking of the Library of Alexandria, and then we go into the Dark Ages or the medieval period, right? And so a lot of this references the stained glass window, the sort of cathedral like architecture and setting, and even the sound. The sound is the early sort of polyphonic textures. It's like bells. It isn't the piano sound, right? Because that really wasn't, or even the organ thing. It's too early. It's too early for that. In terms of the artistic period, um, uh, and so it's interesting. What's really interesting is that there's a bit of a contrast here because like it's the Renaissance period that puts the focus back on the human form, and this is it didn't happen in the medieval period. The medieval period, everything was basically for the church, uh, uh, and so the visual there's a bit of a contrast there, but even this sort of suggests, perhaps the rise of that, or the beginning of that, like the transition from the medieval period into the Renaissance period. So you have this form that's sort of emerging right out of, it's very dark. Like the lighting on this is completely different. It's got a different tone. Even the look how dramatic the shadows are, right? Like there's no fill lighting here. There's a key light, and it's obviously oriented from the stained glass window. But do we get fill lighting? It's very dramatic shadow. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, like really, really early uh, polyphonic music textures that are going on. So what I'm really getting from this is that it's a sequence that kind of shows the different artistic periods in history, and creating this sort of through line of a concept for around masterpiece, right? Like it, and of course you'd have to follow through these different artistic periods, and they all influence, in turn, even when you get up to the modern period and then the postmodern period. But um, so it's interesting. It's interesting what they're building up. Certainly striking visuals. Um, like my goodness, what are they trying to do? It's like they're not. Are we supposed to survive this? How? You know what I mean? Like Marshmallow was so laid back and modern and chill, and this is incredibly dramatic, right? Like this is super dramatic, dude. This but it's fun, it's exciting, it's definitely intriguing. um Man, this is wild stuff right here. This is incredibly evocative. Okay, now I haven't checked out the snippets. um so this will be interesting too, because I've waited to check these out also. But we can gather a lot of information about the concept for the album just from these teasers right here. Even though they're very short and very scant, but there's still a lot of information that you can get visually and even audibly from the change in sounds and the settings, the use of light and color and everything. It's extremely artistic.
ミサモのミナです私は It's Not Easy For You という曲を作詞したんですが、一度ハマったら抜け出せない沼のようなそんな話を表現して書きました。私たちが作るアルバムということで一人ずつ作詞を担当したんですが、私はこの曲のすごいダークな部分が好きだったので、ちょっと暗闇のような沼にはまるという意味で、ワンスの皆さんが私たちのことを見て沼みたいだ、ハマっちゃったって言ってくださったのを見て、そこからインスピレーションを受けて書いた曲です。他の曲もいろいろあったんですけど、私はやっぱりこの最初に聴いた時にこの曲のダークなディープな雰囲気がすごく好きだったので、この曲を選びました。
Interesting.
いやもう毎晩一人で座ってノート開いて曲を聴きながらジーっていうのを何日間も繰り返してましたそんな簡単にうまくはいきません私がこの曲を書いたのが、テーマになっているのがワンスの皆さんが本当に沼ハマったそんなワードを見て思いついた曲だったので、共感していただけたら嬉しいですし、またこの曲このアルバムを通して私たちにハマっていただけたらなと思います。
Oh, yeah.
はい、私が作詞した It's Not Easy For You たくさん聴いていただけたら嬉しいです。今回この曲はみんなもっと大人っぽい雰囲気を出したくて、そういう部分も表現をたくさんしているので楽しんで聴いてください。Focus on, it's my eyes, come on a break, keep scared of falling down. 抜け出すことなんて It's not easy for you, it's not easy for you.
Oh man. So first of all, it's really interesting to note that it's not as if it's like unexpected or uncommon, but what she's kind of explaining there is that the track, this guitar riff that's going on, and probably the percussion, she that kind of composes the main sort of mix there. It's somewhat minimalist, right? Like there's not a whole lot going on. There's some bass, and then the main thing is that guitar riff, right? But what she's saying is that she sits down and listens to this and then tries to draw this, like she's looking at comments from fans and then listening to this and then trying to create a concept by putting these two things together and, just taking time. It's just very down to earth. It's like the approach, she's like, no, I just sit down with my notebook, I listen and I look at things and then I just start thinking about it and like, how do I put these things together, into something that is cool. And she said a little bit more mature. The vocal sounds really, really, alluring and sort of provocative, and she's saying, like, that everyone will fall in love. Well, that's already happened, Mina. That's not like, we're here. Like, you'll get more for sure, but I mean, that's we're already there. I love the guitar sound on this. It's so like sludgy and fat. Like it's huge. It sounds like something that Jack White would do. But it's got so much body to it, and it has this really like crunchy kind of distortion that's on it. It's not fuzzy. It's, you know what I mean. It has like a crunchiness to it, like a real like thick, sludgy kind of like biting crunch to it, and the chord progression is. It's only like two chords. It sounds like it's just going back and forth between two chords. Basically, it starts on bunch, and then the next chord da 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 da, right, and then back to one probably, and then but I guess it's probably going five. Um, might be going four actually. Um, but yeah, so it's two chords, and there will probably be like like that's I don't know when another section comes around, pre-chorus or something like that. You'll probably hear like a couple more chords in there. That's what I would anticipate anyway. But it sounds really cool. Like that sounds like a really cool track, man. That's going to be really fun. That's so different. Think of Marshmallow, and then think of that sound. Like that's totally different, right? Like it's a totally different direction for sure. Oh, that's intense.
はい、こんにちは、ミサモのさなです。はい、今回私はマスターピースの中で You and You という曲を作詞させていただきました。日本語での作詞は今回が初めてだったんですけど、今回はMiSaMoのアルバム自体が少しダークな感じのコンセプトになっているので、それを生かしたくて TWICE の曲にはないような歌詞を今回は作ってみたかったので、それがよく表現されている曲じゃないかなと思います。この曲を選んだ理由は、最初に曲を聴いた時にこの曲作詞してみたいなっていうビビッと
Similar approach? Okay.
車の中で準備を全部終わらせてから待機をしてたんですけど、その時に歌詞書いてみようかなって携帯を開いて外を見たら山の奥だったんですけど、撮影場所がで、そこで雨が降っててすごく霧がもやってしてる感じだったので、これをコンセプトに持っていこうと思って、その感じから書き出しました。日常会話では使わない言葉でも表現の仕方が綺麗だなとか、この曲にすごく似合ってるなっていうような表現ができる単語を少しずつ検索とかしながら入れてましたね。はい、今回の、You and You の作詞をしながら思ってたことがCry for Me っていう曲があるんですけど、 TWICE の曲の中にで、その Cry for Me での私のパートの歌詞をワンスの皆さんがすごい新鮮だって言ってすごくよく聴いてくださってたと思うんですけど、その感じも込めたくて今回出来上がったのが You and You です。なので今回のアルバムにもMiSaMoが今までじゃ表現できなかった新しい姿もたくさん収録されているので、今回の、マスターピース皆さん楽しみにしていてください。
Oh, that okay. So, that kind of has that lo-fi guitar work in there. So the vibe kind of is aligned or sort of reminds me of the Marshmallow because of that specific instrument sound in the mix. That bass line was incredible. That was such a wonderful bass line that was going on in there. And then the color of her vocal over that sounded really, really awesome. So interesting. it does sound fresh, right? It does sound like a interesting that they, it's like I want to lean into something that's a little bit darker, but at the same time keep it fresh. Isn't it like it's Sana, right? And she's like, "Oh, I want to lean into something a little bit darker," but then she smiles, and you're like, "Oh, come on, dude! Like it dark, like it doesn't get that dark, with Sana. Like it just can't. You can't not smile, right? Like if Sana's, um, you just can't. You just can't. Like she's just too. She's too bright. She's too. You know what I mean? Like she shines and she just brightens everything up naturally. So I think, but even that is that freshness in the track for sure. That nice, warm, bright sound. That's definitely sort of characteristic of Asana for sure. But it sounds really, really awesome. It's and interesting that she says, I guess she had kind of a similar process. So she seemed to draw a lot from the environment around her, right? Where Mina was listening to the track and then looking at comments and things from fans. Sana's sort of saying, there's a little bit of that in there, right? Like the Cry for Me thing, the reference to that, and how the fan said that her part sounded fresh in there, and so she's like, she likes that as an idea, but the main process for writing started with the environment that she's looked around and saw, like, I'm in the mountains and it's misty and it's hazy and all of this, and you know, um, so she tends to have that sentient type of experience to be her inspiration for, like, things she sees and maybe things she hears and smells and things like that, and that's what starts the ideas. Okay. So different approaches, right, between the girls. From Mina has a way of doing hers, and then Sana had a way of doing hers, and it's very cool. It's very cool stuff, man. As it, just to see and, like, learn more about, like, how they're working on this album. You know what I mean? Both together, and then also this sort of independent ideas for songs. You know what I mean? Like the each one in turn kind of um, expressing their own type of ideas. So very romantic, right? Relating it back to the concept of art and the artistic process, right? There's a lot of romanticism in how these songs are being written. Then.
こんにちは、ももです。はい、私はファニーバレンタインという曲を作詞しました。まずデモを聴いて、なんかパフォーマンスしたらかっこいいだろうなと思った曲を選びました。家で書いたんですけど、ソファーで天井を見ながら書いて、ブーとドミーと戯れながら書きました。時間的にはそうですね、一回そのテーマみたいなのをずっと考えて一日で、そこからまた時間がある時に家帰ってからちょっと考えたり、でも出てこへんかったらもうその日は諦めてみたいな感じですごい結構なんか時間かかりました。いいんじゃないかなっていうか、これは大丈夫なのかなと思ったのが、なんかこうあなたっていう単語を使ったんですけど、なんかそれって日本ってどういうあれなのかなっていう、でもちょっと大人っぽい雰囲気の曲やったから、だからあなたって使ってもこの雰囲気に合うかなっていう思いで、すごいそこは悩みどころの部分でした。情熱で溶ける甘いチョコレートっていう部分はその このタイトルっていうかそのハニーバレンタインっていうタイトルにも合ってる歌詞なのですごいお気に入りの部分です。はい、今回のファニーバレンタインの作詞も頑張ってしたので、ぜひ皆さんいっぱい聴いていただけれたらいいなと思います。Funny, funny Valentine 満たして笑ってた情熱で溶ける甘い愛のチョコレート衝撃が走る Be my funny Valentine
So like they're all the members of Twice are actually very smart, like in their own way, right? Like, but they're all very clever, like all of them. Like Momo, one of the things about Momo is that she has this like her exterior is always very like, how would you say, it's very consistent, and she doesn't like she has a great poker face, right? Like Momo can come up with a very complex idea in her head, but she's not going to like express it here. If the expression comes like all at once in one movement or one statement, or like it's not a drawn out process, which is interesting because of how she approached the songwriting. It makes sense that she's sitting on or laying on the couch or sitting on the couch, and Boo and Dabi are there. I mean, that's her life. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's where she's at home. That's where she feels comfortable. And so she probably enjoys that kind of space to do that sort of work in, to try and work with ideas and everything. But she, oh man, it's so interesting, just the whole idea that they want to lean into a more mature, darker type of concept. It's the expression of it comes across in so many different ways. It isn't just like it's not a single layer to it. It's everything. It's all throughout the entire track. Definitely will be through the lyrics, and then the visuals, even the stuff that we have so far, the Do Not Touch, which is a completely different song that we don't really have an indication of what this sounds like, but it's a very intriguing album. The whole concept of it, everything behind it, it's like super super interesting. But it sounds great. I was that little sort of motive that dee da dun dun dun, like I was trying to. It sounded like a really high pitched string sound when I first was like heard it. The production on this track is really interesting too. It has a really nice percussion rhythms in the percussion part too. They're sort of bringing in a very hip hop type of vibe with that, and sort of mixing it up with that that little high pitched motive, the dee da dun 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 dee da dun dun. Like it's minor, but the sound of it is it is kind of funny. Like, it is a little like quirky, right? Like it's a little like, wasn't expecting that, and so the funny Valentine thing, because it is kind of sweet, but it's also a bit unexpected, a bit like unorthodox, not what I was anticipating. So it's a wonderful expression of the idea. So far, everything looks like that, like it's this a very clever, very thoughtful type of expression of these different ideas. It's really interesting to see how they are approaching each concept, you know what I'm saying? and the overall type of like idea that they're going for behind the album. It's man, it's gonna be a really great album. Um, when is the because Do Not Touch is going to be before the album drop, right? Isn't it? Hold on, let me see. 7/14. Oh yes, yes. This is in a couple of days. Okay, so another a second pre-release track, and then the album on the 26th. Okay, so man, okay, okay, all right. You know what I mean? Like I'm here for it. You know, it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good. This Do Not Touch thing. This is so Do Not Touch, right? Thinking art, thinking just really, you know, not trying to overcomplicate things, right? But the concept itself, art. What do you see in museums, right? When you go to a museum and they have like certain art exhibits that are on display, like paintings and sculptures and stuff, there's a little sign on it. The sign says, "Do not touch," right? Like it's a masterpiece. It's a bit of a priceless expression of an idea through an artistic medium. So please do not touch. It's interesting, man. It's interesting. It's really clever stuff. It's really clever. It's already a super fun idea and a super fun album. So, all right, man. In a couple of days, we'll check out Do Not Touch. That's this week. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, dude, let's just see, right? Let's just see. It's incredibly. It's incredibly exciting, right? Like it's gonna be good. Oh man, that's gonna be good.